America, land of the free, home of the brave, and the place where construction projects seem to take forever to finish. If you've ever driven past the same half-built bridge for years on end, or you've navigated through a maze of construction cones on the highway that seems to never get completed, you're not alone in wondering, why does it take so long to build anything in America? Especially when other countries seem to pull off massive infrastructure projects in only a fraction of the time. In the United States, it's not uncommon for road and bridge projects to drag on for years, sometimes even decades, while China and Europe seem to pop up new infrastructure almost overnight. So what's going on? Well, as with most answers, this one gets complicated. A big part of the reason comes down to one word: regulations. First off, let's be very clear. Regulations exist for very good reasons. They protect public safety, ensure environmental sustainability, and promote fairness in the marketplace. You want your roads to be safe, your bridges not to collapse, and your air to stay clean. And regulations are a way to enforce these standards. In theory, that's a good thing. If you're a construction company bidding on a government contract, everyone should be playing by the same rules. No cutting corners, no skimping on materials, nothing like that. That ensures a fair marketplace when the best contractor wins based on quality and price, not because they ignored safety rules. Here's the problem in America. In our country, there are so many regulations that they often seem slow, and it seems to drag the entire process down to a mere crawl, and not just a little bit, a lot. In fact, the average highway or bridge project in the United States can take as long as 20 years to go from planning to completion. For comparison, countries like Germany or Japan routinely finish smaller projects in about a quarter of the time. Now here's where things start to get a little bit messy. In the US, if you're not just dealing with a single layer of regulations, you're dealing with multiple layers of regulations, federal, state, and local rules, all at the same time. Add in things like environmental reviews, public hearings, and the occasional legal challenge, and what you get is a tangled web of bureaucracy that grinds an entire project to a halt. Take, for example, environmental regulations. Again, these are crucial. Nobody wants a new highway to destroy natural habitat or cause long-term pollution. But the process to get an environmental impact report approved can take years. And that's just one part of the approval process. You also need to coordinate with multiple government agencies that often don't communicate well with each other, and each one sets their own set of requirements. Want to move forward faster? Sorry, you'll need to wait for each agency to finish their own review, and that could take months, sometimes years. The layers of oversight mean that everyone is supposed to be doing their job to make the project safer, fairer, and more sustainable. But in practice, it creates endless delays. This results in a paradox. While regulations are meant to protect the public and ensure fairness, they often end up doing just the opposite by making projects take so long that costs skyrocket and improvements to public safety and roads and infrastructure are delayed. Another key part to this puzzle is America's commitment to a quote-unquote free and fair marketplace. Now, at its core, the idea means that anyone who wants to do business with the government, whether it's building a bridge, paving a road, or installing streetlights, should have a fair shot. The government is supposed to pick the best contractor, balancing cost, quality, and other factors. This system is meant to prevent corruption and ensure that taxpayer money is spent wisely. But here's where things again get a little tricky. In theory, competition between firms drives down cost and speeds up projects. But what often happens is that these processes become so bogged down with paperwork, bid reviews, and contractual disputes that it ends up doing the exact opposite. Every contractor wants to ensure that they're following the rules to the letter, because not doing so could mean losing a contract or facing legal penalties. So instead of focusing on getting the job done quickly, they focus on meeting every single regulatory requirement perfectly. And that takes a lot of time. We're not talking just a little bit of time. These aren't small delays. We're talking months or years added to a project timeline. And that's just to navigate the bureaucracy, this maze of permits, inspections, and compliance checks. While America prides itself on having a free and fair market, that same commitment can lead to a system that's slow, costly, and inefficient. Well, you might be wondering something here. Why is this just a problem in the US? After all, plenty of other developed nations have regulations too, right? Well, yeah. But many of these countries have found ways to streamline their process. In places like Germany and Japan, they have fewer overlapping layers of bureaucracy, clearer guidelines, and often more efficient public-private partnerships. Take Germany, for instance. When they build highways, known as Autobahns, they complete these in only a fraction of the time compared to the US. Why? Because they have a more centralized process. There's usually one lead agency handling the entire project from start to finish, meaning to fewer bottlenecks and fewer delays. In the US, on the other hand, there might be 10 or more different agencies involved in one single project, each one with their own set of approval. You see, it's not just about having regulations, it's about how streamlined and efficient those regulations are. Many European countries have managed to strike a balance between protecting public interest and getting things done quickly. The US hasn't quite figured out that balance yet. So what does this all mean for the American taxpayer? Well, it means that while all of these regulations and rules are in place to protect your interest, whether it's ensuring safety or avoiding wasteful spending, it ends up costing you much more in the long run. Construction projects in the US routinely go over budget, and the longer a project takes, the more cost it can creep up. In fact, it's estimated that every year of delay can increase the project's cost by about 5%. That's money that comes directly from you, the taxpayer. So, can America fix this problem? Well, the answer, like everything in America, isn't all that simple. The regulatory system is deeply entrenched, and any attempts to streamline it is often met with resistance, both from those who benefit from the status quo and from those who worry that fewer regulations might mean cutting corners on safety or environmental protection. But there are some little glimmers of hope. Some states and local governments are experimenting with new ways to speed up the process, from reducing the number of agencies involved to fast-tracking certain approvals. If these efforts succeed, we could see faster, cheaper, and more efficient infrastructure projects in the future. But until then, the next time you're stuck in traffic because of construction that seems to be taking forever, just remember, it's not just the workers or the weather holding things up. It's the system itself. I'm journalist Matt Pierce. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more deep dives on hidden complexities about how life in our American world works.